Okay. I think I figured that out. I think if you click that link, if anyone is watching, let me just try and do that again to make sure. Copy. Copy. I'll just send that again. I think that's the same, isn't it? Yeah, it's the exact same link. So if that didn't work the first time, it didn't work the second. I was apprehensive at first about doing these things. And then I remembered, I've spent a lot of my time learning my entire life and know a lot of things. At a certain point, the gains are exponential of what you know. So I think a lot of people, for a lot of their lives, kind of have a lot of things that they know are true because they heard it from someone that they believe and they trust, and they have all these little bits of wisdom. And then at a certain point, they kind of live their own life to an extent where they see which one of those pieces of wisdom are actually applicable and which ones aren't. More so, where each one of those pieces of wisdom is applicable, because that's a piece of wisdom you should understand. But yeah, and at a certain point, those games come in gains, and now I think I can answer any big question that I think is important for people to know right now, especially those questions that revolve around religion, politics, or actually, I should say this in the proper order. It's like theology, sex, and then politics, basically. And with theology, kind of throughout, also you also have to answer questions about fundamental physics, And frankly, at this point, especially everything that I know, and this is almost kind of an attack on my former self, although it's not. Unless you understand, some fundamental physics, you probably shouldn't be talking that much about theology or anything about free will. I reread some of Robert Sapolsky's points recently, and he's not even the right ballpark as far as what he should be asking. And that's okay. It happens. I'm just saying. So what spurred off this specific thing is I was watching The Line this morning from an episode, and they spent an hour on the phone with this guy. I haven't finished it, but it's a conversation I've seen time and time again over there, and that's someone's trying to find. They're basically ridiculing their guests for not being able to find animal or human and draw that distinction, and yet silently they never do it themselves. They kind of offhandedly say oh yeah, you carry a membrane in great ape, and it's that's not a specific. You're differentiating another animal is what you're doing, but you're not explaining why humans and animals are separate. And yay, if you're a progressive, this isn't a scientific argument. I can make a scientific argument, but for the specific nature of humans, it's essentially in the same way that you make a direct scientific argument that fungus has a unique role within the food chain as being an information highway. Speaking of what fungus does, this is an example of what fungus does. Okay, so I have this friend. He literally comes out of nowhere. He appears when I least expect it. You know what I mean? It's literally some sort of video game thing. Anyways, whenever he comes to see me, he always gives me nonsense that he found that I need. I don't know where he came up with it because he has nothing, and I'll give him some stuff. Anyways, this last time I have some bullshit in the back of my car, and I picked him up, and he gave me I didn't like my letter because it was camouflage and it also snapped, and I didn't have much was left, and he traded that letter for this one, which is noticeable, which is oh, this is just a little better than the one I had. And then while I was getting gas, I was kind of nervous because I was I'm gonna leave him in my car, and he's talking to this other homeless person that I don't know outside of my car or whatever. He might give something away. Anyways, turns out when I came back, he gave me something else. I forgot what it was. And then later, I was looking at the back of my car, and I discovered that an old cheesecake I had that I didn't want anymore was gone. And like, I'm not even upset that he gave away the cheesecake. It's just like he knew, like somehow he just felt like, because he's like very schizophrenic. He like, felt in his mind like, oh, he doesn't need this. He needs this. And that's like literally what he's doing. He's literally just like creating wealth for people, just like sitting in the center, just walking around, loving people. And he's like super schizophrenic and yelly. And he's like one of God's greatest gifts I've seen here. I love him. You know, and just an example of just how strange. You know, I was gonna write about this. This is something I was gonna write about, but I'll just explain it. Maybe I'll read about it later today. I want to talk about a sixth sense. And this goes into a bigger argument very fast. I'll have to remember how that actually happens. But information exchange is always a two-way process. So when you feel like someone looking at you, and you turn around and there they are, it's like, yeah, there actually is an information exchange where it's not outside of it. There's a meta-analysis. It's called, I could tag it, but I talk about it all the time. It's called Anticipation of Seemingly Unpredictable Stimuli Meta-analysis. Physiological Anticipation of Seemingly Unpredictable Stimuli Meta-analysis by like Rosamund something, I think her name is. It's basically about that, you know, like the hairs in your neck stand up before you get a correct answer. And it mostly happens if it's like an emotionally laden face. So like, yay, monster staring at you from behind and your hair is stand up. When you look over, it's like, it's there. And partly what's actually drawing it is because the way that matter and memory works, you know, someone asked, this guy asked, like, well, why, what is the barrier? Because he was a creationist and didn't believe in evolution between species. And he asks, what is the barrier that stops like a chimp from becoming a tiger? The biologist asks. The answer is basically it's an entropy, it's a certainty like bowl that it's resting within. And it needs to like come out of that and have a very inconvenient shape and a very inconvenient way of being for a while until it settles in into like another pool. And that's not like, that's also, we understand that that's how like healing works. You know what I mean? Like if I cut, my body's actually stressed, it needs to like find out this homeostatic state where everyone is agreed, but everything gets all the pieces that they want, all the individual cells, even be all the way up, you know. So that's actually what's happening. It's a increasing certainty, increasing decreasing unconstrained potential. Free positions that my cells could be, or the bad positions that I could be, or lowering the amount of uncertainty of my position within my own environment. Okay, I guess I talked too much. That's probably pretty simple. Anyways, that bowl of change in that like state where you go like, yes, like this is correct. You could think about that as the image of that man staring at you. It's almost like that makes a very you know, from behind, you know, say he was staring at you and he said he looked like a demon, like he had like huge wings and the sun was behind him and it was very that would definitely make your hair stand up than if you saw it beforehand, and then if you saw it and you saw that. And it's because, and frankly, the pull, if you turn it around, it would be stronger if it was all that and you saw that. And that's because it's like that image, it's like an architecture within space and time, just like a resonance. It's like when you see something vibrating, it's like that vibration doesn't really exist in the string. It's sort of in the air, and the string is writing it, basically. And that's an important thing to understand. It's like those like actual dramatic moments, those things are actually pulling matter to them and giving everything a state of certainty. Those are the places where reality is actually revealed. You know what I mean? Everything actually kind of moves towards those spots. It's almost like the same idea that like I couldn't start building unless I had an end goal. I mean, I guess I could just be randomly tossing up stuff, but even that's kind of like I have a vague, like there's somewhere to be. You know what I mean? The rocks can't actually be tossed up and placed in place and stuff. But there's a deeper level to that. And that is sometimes that you reach dead ends when you're just building shit and going through paths. We could talk more about that later. But yeah. So we kind of exist, all of reality kind of exists around those moments. Those moments, like the crucifixion of Christ, are what everything else is organized around. Our prayer, our desires, our love, in a non-causal way. So it's not like, Christ fucking was crucified and some butterfly effect rock is traveling 300 years to get here, yay, today. No. All these things are linked. Multiple levels of coherence. How could you say this? The things that have more coherence are more likely to spring up from potential. That's like a very important thing to realize. In Yates, where I know where it comes from. But a lot of people have all this coherence of like memories of a hero. It's like, well, how are those things gonna cohere with my life? There are no heroes. There are no gods. How will all that be drawn into the climax? How will all those maybe notes be drawn together? What do you think the story, this fractal of infinity, is going to be unfinished, half cooked? What are you expecting? Ye have little faith in me. God. I don't even give out half-cooked cookies to my worst enemies. So, nay, a delicious pie this will be. Okay. So, no one's been on here yet. No one's got hooked on. Animals and humans. I didn't type in this as a Christ AMA. Probably be helpful for people to know that's like, oh, yeah. I got your questions. I got your answers. So, the most, I'll cover a couple of things if I want to kind of cover this human and animal thing fully, which I probably should focus on because, normally I have Donzel here and he can be kind of focused at least, but right now we're free balling a little bit. And yes, Donzel is my handler, if you're wondering. Hey, Batu. Good to see you again. Hey. So today I'm going to talk about, Today I want to talk about the difference between animals and humans, basically, which is a big issue. I'm interested in it because I want to have the atheists wake up. It's going really good. I just woke up. It's going very well. I had a warm night. Ready. I'll slow down here a little bit. How was yours? Good. Anyways, so I want to show the atheists there's something missing. And yay, there's something deeply missing. Their humanist moral system. And in fact, they can't distinguish between animals and humans. Not in any fundamental sense, not in any real sense, not in any sense that if someone calls you a nigger, you could actually stand on with any real spit, And yay, that was the origin of me trying to craft an argument. Don't spoke, dude. I don't know how old you are. I understand why you say the things you do and what you've been told. This place, what you've been told, what medicine is. What, you'd rather be fucking pop Adderall and you'd be like, yay, that's good for you? No. As I said before, these things that you mark as your demons and your sign of physical corruption, whether it be cigarettes or weed, yay, I will make these as a sign, my foremost, to show you that you're all source of health. I'm half black. Your entire source of health is all backwards and wrong. Yeah. Frankly, I don't even care. If you could handle a fucking magic wizard power on your wand, you could shoot it out or not. I don't care. I'm half German, half African. So I'm half like my my father's family are engineers. I should say my family of the earth are engineers. It sounds like I'm being an alien, but I'm trying to be more specific. Like my father is God. I have an earthly father. No, it's nothing wrong with being African, dude. I literally first of all, I have like amazing rhythm. Um, I have a fire. I have like an extra testosterone boost. I build muscle. I fucking I'm more like my quantum powers, my able to feel and perceive the future, and the flow of my word, which is part of that. That's why I talk like this for a reason. I'm talking up from the bottom, and my words are embedded very deeply in strange ways, as you'll understand later. You know, because there's no actual real boundaries between my body and the external world. It's a gray area. It actually fades. So I'm talking about speaking up to the climax or speaking in a way that's completely resonant with the future and the past. That's partly what I'm doing. That's part of it. I'm good at this, very good at this now, and I just kind of chill on it. You're 11? Dude, I'm sorry. I'd be cursing so much. Why are you on YouTube? Is there an adult mode on here? Because, like, I bet, it's okay. You could be 11, honestly. But, man, don't smoke pot as an 11-year-old, dude. Wait, have fun. Play fucking Star Wars games, man. Most, to get the proper effect from these medicines, they actually take a lot of rituals. And if you take them too early, they'll send you into a fall. They'll send you into a bad fall. Well, that's because that's good. Oh, that because is a youngster too, man. But yeah, no, yeah, most if you like try to like do these things as a youngster, you're not ready. You will fall. It won't be nice. You know, you'll lose time. At the end of the time, it doesn't losing time actually doesn't matter. They talk about in the Bible how basically God. This is an analogy for the kingdom of heaven. God gives the people a right to work on his land for the day. At the end, they'll all be paid, a great sum. And then as throughout the day, God keeps inviting more people in, but giving them the same pay and the same sum, even though the people were there the whole day. He says that, yeah, the people at the end get just as much in the first. But in some sense, it's like there's almost a foolish wisdom to them. How old am I? Like fucking 2,000 years old. Time is relative. Uh, I'm saying that because I'm actually trying to like actually relate to you guys. Whatever age I'm actually would tell you guys would be kind of be uninteresting. Guys, join the live. Yeah, come on, join the live. Let me see here now. Let me see if I could put this out again. Invite guests. I've never done this before. Yeah, bless you. I don't know. Yeah. Wait, there we go. So something would be good. The first time I ever tried like a large amount of like a psilocybin, I made sure to be deep within fasting rituals, and at that point I'd already kind of been to had several end of life like cataclysmic events. I already had my 3 days in the desert where I spoke to Satan and spoke to God. I already had that like a year and a half earlier. So, like I was already kind of ready. So a lot of people when they try these things are just like, oh yeah, or like nah. And it's like, what? That's how you feel about it. Oh yeah or nah? No. You didn't see it. That's what you said. Smoking's bad for you and you could die. Brother, I die every moment. I could cure well, dude, there's a weird quantum element to life. I know when people are gonna be like, what are you talking about? It's like the position of my organs isn't necessarily even completely determined right now as I speak. Like, what, you see them? I feel them churning. That's not the same thing. Excuse me. Uh, I just die every time I go to sleep. Every sleep, I die. You know, uh, body's strange. It's not the way people think. You know, everything, and anything is possible through God. You know, um, so much of what is constructed around us in their culture is designed uh, to keep you small. And the greatest way to keep a person weak is to keep them away from God. And the best way to keep them from God is to keep God's word from them. And the best way to keep God's word from people is with lies and deceit and backwards talk. People pretending to speak from the source but standing from another. Yea, serpent. That's the source of a fall. I could die. Uh, Death is sleep. I'm not worried about death. You know, that's not to say, in the same way, I'm not worried for life. You know, uh, God, they're both within God's hands. So, and as the son, I'm going to show you that again. I hope you guys don't have to kill me. Someone was asking the other day, why don't I have nails on my hands, or why don't I have holes in my hands? The next time someone asks me that, I'm gonna say, please don't. Can we not? Can we not do that? Where's the fucking hole in your gut? You want me to put a fucking hole in my gut? Please don't. Yeah, it's okay. I understand. But like, yay, this time you should too. The world has already been created. The world wasn't was until I. Well, that one's Joy did. That I see here. It's all right. Wait some more time. So right now, I'm basically a personal driver for some folks. Just woke up. Wait for them to text me that I'm gonna basically like drive to work. Some things. We're working on some building together. Just had to find the right ones, you know. Smoking is bad. You can die, brother. Why are you guys so worried about dying? For one, let go. It's not to say that dying. Um, no, I'm not saying that. There's many levels of death, you know. But that's what it means to repent. That's what the symbolism is of the water. And you know, in that wine. And first of all, if you think it even in, you would, I would return immediately. That's like my whole thing. That's always been my whole thing. But like, I don't know. You don't think that in my death that would also be good? That also, not that it'd be good that I would, if I was killed or something, but you know, if I died or something. But like God transforms all. I can transform all that. Like so, like let it. That's. I guess that's what I'll show you who I am. And so if I do die, you know, like whatever. But like, I'm not gonna die. I'm fucking already 800 years old or whatever. And I'm fucking chilling. I don't, you know. Now I got this fucking wizard portal fucking now, and I can speak to everyone. Sure, my wisdom's is God and shit. Yeah. Yeah. But any more questions? I'm just getting up this morning. I'm chilling. Yeah. No, maybe I should consult further this smoking thing. But I don't think so. I think I just already, God has been pretty clear. As of now. Hmm. Is it almost summer yet? Is it the winter? A warm flame? Or is it just that I still need to course grain? Yay. You know. I kind of actually, whenever I smoke, it's kind of a live stream. Actually, it's like I think I do now. Like now, I'm not smoking. I'm like about to turn it off because I'm like, just kind of chilling. Maybe I can think of something more to share. Animals and humans. The easiest thing to remember is that humans, being made in God's image, are stand over the animals and subdue them and are responsible for them. You know, if I'm naked, I'm looking at a horse in the eyes, both shaking and hungry. Um, the only difference between us is that I'm responsible for that horse. I'm looking at its eyes, So I decide if I need to have food or if we can share things like that. Um, that sounds very bleak, but that's actually the realest thing. That's the real thing to human being and an animal. Is that we're supposed to put ourselves within a proper order. In the same way as I said in the beginning, I meant this, that every piece of wisdom, every word has a proper place, and yet it is true. Everyone, I'm telling you, for all of contradiction, fits into one whole, and that's why we have sleep, so we can allow that. Um, take my seeds as they fall, as they fall. Yeah, as they fall them. That's what I said first. Yeah, take my seeds as they fall them because I didn't quite land that properly, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, human is responsible for animals. Well, because you can think about that, like okay, in dreams that they carry paradox because their dream is a nonsense place, or you could kind of see what I'm actually talking about is that in sleep is when you forget, and in forgetting, actually allows new things to pop in, things that couldn't have been before. You see what the power of repentance is. Do you understand what the power of repentance is? Are you beginning to see it? No? This isn't manifestation. This is God. This is my love. This is for me to tell you that you are forgiven and that you will do my miracles. Yay. All right. Bless you guys. Thanks. Have a good day.